Hey y'all, it's Crystal Lee, and I'm so glad that you made it to part 3 of how to start your t-shirt business. So proud of you for being consistent. And so of course, episode 1, we talked about design. Episode 2, we talked about how to find your t-shirts. And today we're gonna talk about how to get your t-shirts printed. Now I know you may be like, well, Crystal Lee, what do you mean printed? Well, after you find your t-shirts, you gotta get the design printed, right? And you really wanna find a great printer that's gonna make your design look great, because the difference between a good printer and a bad printer is a bad looking shirt, let me tell you. So, Okay, so first let's talk about how to find a good printer. Google, that's always a good resource. I always say Google crazy. Google is a great resource, t-shirt printer in your area. You can also try social media, your friends, your family. Hey, does anybody know a really great t-shirt printer? And of course, because you found a t-shirt wholesaler or distributor, sometimes they are also printers. So, or they know a really good printer, so you want to ask them for their recommendations too. When you find a printer, after you after you find that perfect printer, here are the top 5 things. You know, in part 1 and part 2, I've been giving you the top 5 things that I want you to ask them, because I really want you to go in there with great resources, sounding like you know what you're talking about, and not just going in there and being like, hey, you know, can you print my shirts? I really want you to go in there and have the information that you need. So here are the top 5 questions that I want you to ask your new t-shirt printer. So number 1, what kind of printing do you do? There are different types of printing. Now I know this can get kind of confusing, so I'm gonna tell you right now, but I'm also gonna leave all of my notes down below so that you can learn a little bit more about t-shirt printing. So there is screen printing, and there's also digital printing. Those are kind of the top 2 right now. So screen printing, I'm gonna look at my notes because I really don't know this off the top, and I'm not even gonna try to act like I do. So screen printing is when they create a stencil and then they use the stencil to apply layers of ink on the shirt. Boom, I got it. So this is screen printing, the shirt that I have on right now, and I love it. It's really, really great. And because he does it multiple times, shout out to Affordable Screen Printing in Atlanta, because he does it multiple times, it's like, it looks really big and bold. So I really, really love my screen printer. And then there's digital printing. I'm going back to my notes. So digital printing is like a newer process, and it kind of involves the your design being processed by a computer and then printed directly onto your t-shirt. I've never done digital printing before, so I'm not sure how that looks. It's based on your preference or what you think. That's why when you go to your printer, you want to ask them, what kind of printing do you do? And you definitely want to make sure you kind of see some examples of their work. And here's just a quick note and a difference between screen printing and digital printing. Screen printing will not fade, but digital printing will. So just keep that in mind. Screen printing is probably the best option for if you have like a really bright design like this, you want to go with the screen print. So number 2, you want to ask them, how much is it going to cost me per shirt? So when you go in there, you want to just say, okay, cool, I have 12 dozen of small to extra large. I'm just using this as an example. How much is it going to cost me for each shirt? And that can be a wide range. So you just kind of want to see, you know, how much they're going to say. And based on your budget, you can kind of determine that. Number 3, I've been saying this for number 1 and number 2. You want to really make sure that you look at samples, see their work, see what they've done, see if you can find reviews on them, and see what people are saying about their work after they leave. That is very, very important, because you want to make sure that your customers are getting great quality work, because they don't know your printer, they don't know your t-shirt wholesaler, all they know is you. So everything from your shirt is going to be a representation of you. Number 4, how long is it going to take them to get your shirts back to you? Now, if they say it's going to take about 10 weeks, you might want to run for the dough, because that's a little too long. So the average, in my opinion, for how long it takes me is about 1 to 2 weeks. Now, if you have a really, really busy printer, it may take a little longer, or they don't have a lot of work at the time, it may be shorter. So ask them how long it's going to take them to get your work to you. What is their turnaround time? And if that works for you, great. If it doesn't, try to find somebody else, or try to ask them if they can move a little faster based on what you need. And number 5, I want you to make sure you ask your printer what kind of policy they have for misprints or if they do something wrong. Sometimes things happen, so you don't want to go off on them. You just want to ask them, okay, hey, if I have any faulty issues, if I have a customer that comes back and says something is wrong with my design, will you comp me for that? Will you do something about that? Just make sure all bases are covered when you find your printer, because obviously this is a huge part of your shirt, because this is the design, this is what people are paying for. And you don't want the design to be falling off and looking crazy. So just make sure you ask them if they will be accountable if anything goes wrong. So I hope I answered all of the questions that you had for t-shirt printing. If I didn't, make sure you leave your comments or questions below and I'll be sure to try to answer them for you. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Tell your friends if they are looking to start their t-shirt business. So next we're going to be talking about shipping, which is a huge deal. Shipping is crazy. So make sure you stay tuned. Plus, if you're listening to these videos and you're like, this is kind of a lot for me, I really don't know if I have time for this, don't worry, because I'm going to have a video on how to start your t-shirt business in just 5 minutes. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you and I'll see you next time.